All stations, Mumbai control. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How do you read?
Radio 5, Victor Tango, Victor Golf Papa.
Lead U5, Victor Tango, Charlie Bravo Lima.
Lead U5, Victor Tango Hotel Romeo Kilo.
Lead U5, Victor Tango Lima Romeo Charlie.
Radio 5, Victor.
Station calling, Mumbai grounds, say again. It means, I think 2 stations called me, so I could not hear who's calling me. So, because there was interference between two stations, make the calls again, both the parties involved.
Radio 5, Victor Tango, Mike Echo Delta.
Radio 5, Victor Tango Papa Kilo Mike.
Very nice. So understand, in a realistic environment, when you are acting like a real pilot in field, and you would be talking to ATC, waiting for clearances, many students would be many pilots would be talking on the same frequency for the same clearance, a similar clearance by the same ATC. That's when chances are this sort of thing can happen. This is called interference from another aircraft. Okay, the Q code for this is QRM. Make a note of it. There is a Q code for interference with another aircrafts. The Q code is QRM, Quebec Romeo Mike. So if you sense that happening, like Sahana and Pooja, that happen, so whenever that happens, you'll redo your call by allowing the other person to speak first. So if Pooja and Sahana, both of you all felt it, so mutually Sahana will also be quiet, Pooja will also be quiet, and let there be radio silence so that any one of those could go first. It's like that. So that's how we follow a mutual ethic in live aviation environment. And that's how we are going to practice that. So instead of me asking you to do the call again, next time, students, if anyone has a interference from another aircraft while doing a call, make sure you all wait for the radio silence. It means nobody's transmitting. And then you all redo your calls again. That was a good example. I liked everyone's reply so far. Good rate of speech, sounding very professional. And Sahana, although your first live call without any part 1 training, it was very nice. Pooja, very nice. And guys, very nice. Well done. Good morning, everyone. And let's get started in a couple of minutes from now. Please go through the little things that you had learned yesterday. Today, we're going to learn a little more. Tomorrow, we're going to learn a little more. And every day till Friday or Saturday, you'll see we'll be learning so much of theory based upon radio regulations and radio wave theory and radio navigation systems, anything and everything to do with radio. Not just radio, but certain regulations based questions will also be asked to you with respect to original documentations like we spoke about by iCATS and all those things. So I'm just gonna wait for a couple of more students to get started. We'll just give them a couple of minutes. Until then, students, if you have any doubts, you'll ask, or you can practice a couple of calls. Whenever I'm going blind, keeping videos off, it means we are simulating a live RT environment and anyone is free to make a call. We all assume that I am an ATC and you're a different pilots and you can just simulate any call. Couple of minutes and then we'll get started with our part 2 theory. So please feel free to make a call. I'm just here as an ATC waiting for you all to make request and I'm ready to give you all clearances. We have Rishi, Nukul. We have Vignesh, Achal, Sahil, Sharvi, Bhavin, Hardik, Sahana. Then we have Lima Rumil Charlie is also Vignesh, right? Then we have Vishnu, Jyotsna, and Pooja. So I'm missing a lot of students. Ayush is not there. Priyam is joining. Neha is not there today. Bhavin has come in, yeah. Sordip is not there. Many students are not there. Okay, I'll just check. Students, feel free to make a call, practice. Priyam, welcome to the class. Pooja, Vishnu, Jyotsna, warm welcome. Good morning, everyone. Vignesh, welcome. Bhavin, Hardik, Sana, again, welcome. Sahil, Sharvari, Achal, Priyam, Rishi, Nakul. Victor Tango, Sierra, India. Mumbai ground, how do you read?
Radio 5, Victor Tango Sierra, Sierra India.
Okay,
So
so
I,
Sharad, it's a
yes,
new call
yes,
sign.
yes. In order to remember all the ABCD of RTR, I was just flipping the call sign.
Good, 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 good. So Vishnu, I need to have a word with you today, sometime in the afternoon or the evening. Are you free? I need to first get on with you on call. We will have a strategy built and we will start giving you, we'll start grooming you because your exam is in a few days from now. So just let me know if you are busy today, what time. Accordingly, I'll call you. Otherwise, I'll just simply call you as and when I get time and we'll take it. So today I'm hoping to talk to you for a long time. So let's make sure we will be doing a revision. Okay, my video is off. Okay, we'll be doing a walkthrough around certain basics. I had done that with Sharad yesterday. Although you have been good with your calls, I'm not worried about your part one. Still, on a level, I want to check how it is. And then I think tomorrow we are going to have your part one mock. You'll be the first to have a one-on-one mock amongst other students. So one of the first students, like I think tomorrow we'll be doing mock of couple of students at the least. So you'll be one of them. So I think by tomorrow evening, you should build some confidence after a couple of mocks in part one. And I think Vishnu, simultaneously, you'll have a couple of days to, as much as I teach you, to make sure you're thorough with those. And then I will also give you certain extra reading material that will help you learn more things in a shorter period of time. So these 2-3 days you'll be occupied. And yeah, so you need to speak to me today for that. All right. So make sure you call me if you don't hear from me. And if I don't answer you, keep trying to get in touch. Simple. Because yeah, that's it. Okay, students, no questions. We have one question. I'm ready to take questions. You can post your questions in the chat box. Also, students, Zoom chat box. For a cell call check after a pre-flight radio check, are we required to raise the station to the HF ATC or straight away start with the call? Raising the station used to be in the older pattern, which has been modified. So we don't need to raise the station. We can simply make a call to ADC on HF, but make sure first we make on secondary and then on primary. So it would be like Mumbai Radio, Victor Tango, Juliet Yankee Oscar, like that. On secondary 8898, pre-flight cell call check cell call Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta. Don't need to raise the station. Ideally, whenever you're trying to initiate a conversation with any station, ideally you're supposed to raise the station and see if they're available to take a call. But on busy aerodromes, you can just make a call and see if they're replying. If they're not replying, then you just raise the station to see if they're available or not. Don't make the whole call again and again. So right now, Achal, in this case, you just quickly make the call to Mumbai Radio without raising the station. If Mumbai Radio on secondary doesn't respond, after you have made the whole cell call check, you give 5 to 10 seconds. If they don't respond, then you just raise the station again. Mumbai Radio, Victor Tango Golf India Zulu on secondary, like this. That's it. If they don't respond, then you switch on to the next ATC, which will be primary. Then you would say Mumbai Radio, Victor Tango Golf India Zulu on primary, negative contact with Mumbai Radio on secondary. Like that. You can just inform. If they say go ahead, then you can tell them that negative contact with secondary, need to do a pre-flight cell call check, request you to assign us a different frequency to contact with secondary. Ideally, in such cases, the frequency could have changed and the primary ATC or primary radio would give you the next frequency to contact with secondary radio. So such things are always there. You can always communicate nicely. Just that in the examination, too much of expectations are there from you as a student. In the examinations, they require you to have some sort of awareness about how it is for pilots in air, but they should understand that not everybody has done with their flight training. So if you've done your flight training, then it's going to be super easy for you. But you have to make sure that you include all those experiences in your performance when you're giving me calls. Just give me a couple of seconds. Let me just check if there's any student requesting for the link. Any more doubts anyone has? Vignesh, put it on your parking lot. We'll discuss this doubt. Okay. We'll discuss this doubt. Vignesh, you're giving the exams in Hyderabad. Okay, good. Make sure you don't miss out this doubt, okay, Vignesh? We will
Got
discuss.
it.
I haven't yet read the question, but I'll read and we'll discuss. I'm purposely keeping it aside right now, okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Just keep reminding me. We'll do it. Don't worry. Okay. Okay. 1 second. Harsim, we missed Harsim. Okay, students, so go through the definition of iCAO. Understand the pattern in which we are learning these things. Today, we are going to take a lot of notes about all these aspects of regulation. A few I'll show on the board and few I'm going to dictate so that we can make it fast. Just a second, okay? I'm just sending a reminder to other students. See, students, ideally, you're supposed to, request, 15 minutes before the class, but some of y'all don't request and you all just depend upon me to send it to you before class. Although I'm always there for my students to do it, but ideally, the purpose of requesting you to request the password and all is also to confirm your attendance. There are 2 reasons why we do it. One is to confirm your attendance, and the second is to make sure no outside people can enter our classrooms. Earlier, that used to happen. Unknown people used to come into the classrooms, and while the class is on, they used to play some songs or videos with some abusive language to disturb the sanctum of our classroom online. So we changed that and we ensured that we only take students that are verified, like yourself. So that is the main reason why we are changing the links and doing that hard work to give you a new link again and again. Otherwise, it was easy to give you one link and ask you to join it for the rest of your training. But then people are misusing such links. I don't know why and who is doing it. Maybe some fake inquiries acting to be fake students, or maybe some of our students are sharing with them. So I cannot do all that. So I did this. Even after doing that, if you will not request for your ID password 15 minutes before the class, chances are I might not send you. If I'm not sending you, it means I'm thinking you're absent. And there will be times, although it's me personally taking the lectures, so you don't feel the problem, but there will be times when you will not be allowed to join the session after 11:30 to 11:35. Okay, because we need that importance of punctuality also. But I don't do all that. Okay, I'm very flexible. But if there's someone else, then they have been instructed to be serious. If there's somebody else holding sessions, anyone instead of me is instructed to do that so that people are punctual, simple, and serious. But I like my class to be very organic and very flexible. So only you're lucky that I'm taking it one-on-one with you all. But make sure as we go ahead, you follow the process. It's only for those people who are not asking it. I'm not going to take names, but everyone does it every now and then is what I'm saying. Don't do it, okay? We end up spending 10-15 minutes extra otherwise. At least don't do it for a few days. Now we have another doubt. And do we have to inform the ground tower station that we are changing to radio? No, you don't have to. Only when you're changing from VHF to VHF, like ground to tower, tower to control or approach, then you have to tell the original ATC that you're changing to the next ATC. But if you want, ideally, you can still say to your ground or tower that Mumbai ground, Victor Tango, Golf India Zulu, changing to, what do we say? Changing to Mumbai radio. You can say that, but it's not compulsory. It's okay. Because even if you're talking on HF, your VHF equipment will still be on standby. Okay. So your VHF will be activated. So whenever tower or ground wants to talk to you, they can talk to you. That's why you don't have to inform them. Why do we inform the other station when we are changing a station from this frequency to that frequency? Because that only one VHF equipment would be active that moment. And we are letting that person know, ATC, that we are changing the frequency right now. In case you will be trying to contact us, will not be available on this frequency. That's the logical understanding behind why we inform about changing our frequencies. So that ATC knows that we are no longer available on a frequency where we were just speaking with them. These are good questions, students. That's why I'm discussing, because these are generic questions. These are not question paper specific doubts. If you're thinking why I'm solving these and not the question paper related doubts, because I think I'm keeping the question paper related doubts after I do one-on-one mock with you. And I want to discuss those doubts in person with you. That's the only reason why I'm not discussing it in class right now. One more question: for every landing, should we contact the approach tower, or can we just land as per SID? Even when you're landing as per SID, which will be taught to you in a little introduction only, we don't need to get into depth, because these days the SIDs have become more modified and you have not been taught those instruments how to use. But SID is a standard instrument departure that is used for departure, Vignesh, not for landing. For landing, we have STAR, Standard Instrument Arrival, STAR. Even if you're following STAR, you're supposed to contact the designated ATCs as per your control areas or control zones. So even though you're following an instrument procedure, it doesn't keep your responsibility away from you of communicating with ATC and reporting your positions to ATC. So ideally, after control will send you to approach. Somewhere with approach only, you will assign yourself along with the STAR path, and from approach tower, and then tower landing, after landing ground for taxi apron. That will always be there. Nobody exempts you from not talking to ATC, no matter how automatic landing or auto landing or what happens with you. You have to keep communicating to ATC, simple. It's just that arrival clearance, just like departure clearance, how do you depart after takeoff? That is a standard procedure that does not need to be given to the pilot as a live clearance. It's pre-published, so the pilots can look at it from the Jepson chart. Before arrival, they will be given what STAR to follow. So the arrival standard procedures, I'll be talking about it again, but still, before departure, you will be given your standard departure procedures. They are fixed. But your standard arrival procedures are not fixed, because by the time you reach the destination, the weather could change. If the weather changes, the standard procedures would also change. So by the time you reach very close to the destination, that ATC in that destination will assign a standard procedure for arrival for you. That procedure in real time you have to follow. So you'll be talking to ATC. It's just that the real time clearance to come down and land will not be given to you, but clear to land will still be given to you by ATC. Number 1 to land or clear to land. So always remember, students, without ATC's permission, will only be landing in case of emergencies and RCF, both. Otherwise, with emergency, with ATC contact, if ATC says don't land, then try not to land, because they might be having a reason why they are not giving you landing. Anyway, enough about part 1. Anything else, students? Anything to do with iCAO? Now remember, with respect to part 2, trust me on this, students, when I say this, not many people will teach you a lot of things when you join for RT in part 2. They will give you notes. Why? Because the syllabus is so extensive, nobody can be sure from where they're going to ask you questions. So it becomes difficult to teach you everything conceptually. So what generally instructors or classes would do would just give you a brief of couple of points and then give you notes to study for part 2. Okay. Now, if I wanted, I could have done that. It is easy. Okay, I can just walk you through the notes in one day and give you the notes. Even Vishnu will have 5 days to mug up those notes, and Vishnu could do it, mug it up and be ready for the examination. But that's not the only challenge. The challenge is also your ability to give an answer in the examiner's interviewer's room. And some students will not be able to give the answers as swiftly as other students who can do it naturally. Now, that is where our training is different, where you have to learn what we are saying and make sure whether you know it or not, you learn what to do and how to do. So you have to focus on these things. If I'm talking about something in terms of something that sounds very intellectual, it doesn't mean it's not a strategy. It is a strategy. The strategy is very simple. You explain something to the examiner. Let's say they tell you what is iCAO. You don't just start from anywhere when you say iCAO. Now you have 7 or 8 lines about iCAO. Plus you have certain related topics with respect to iCAO. And you know the importance of iCAO. So whenever a question is asked to you, what is iCAO? Let's say you are seated in front of the examiner like I'm seated. You are the examiner. Let's say I can see Vignesh and Nukul on one and the other side. So they are the 2 examiners on me. And Priyam is just there sitting, observing. The 3rd examiner I was talking about. So what will happen? How will I talk to them? Everything matters. Before you enter the room where the interviewers would be there waiting for you, you'll knock on the door. twice. If the door is closed, it would be ajar. Then you would push it a little bit and then you request them, you request permission to enter the room if they are ready to take your exam. You never know. They might need a breather for a couple of minutes. They might like it. They might say, just give it a minute or two. We'll call you back in. So that will give you extra time to be more confident. If they say, yeah, come in, then you say, thank you, sirs, or sir and sir. Don't say sirs. Look at each sir and individually say, thank you, sir, like Nukul. Thank you, sir, like Vignesh, right now for me on two sides of the screen. And because Prem is there, I'll say, okay, thank you, sir, also. So I'll greet everyone. That makes sure that your presence is felt. So they will feel that, okay, this is a serious student, worked hard, cleared part 1, and probably he or she is going to surprise us with part 2 also. So they start feeling happy. They like it when they get good, deserving students. Are you following it, students? And if you learn it in a way where you can show it that you have done such efforts, then the same compliment comes to you also. And that keeps you in a positive light in case you get stuck in certain questions. What happens afterwards? It will not be a standing interview. It will be a seating interview. So you'll say, sir, can I have a seat? If they don't tell you have a seat, you request them, can I have a seat? These little things will help you in case you get stuck giving answers. These little things will help you connect with the examiners so that whatever nervousness you feel, because it's going to be your first attempt, that nervousness does not impact on your performance. Then once you are seated, calm, observe everything, be aware. Sometimes what happens, because it's our first interview or first examination, we are blank. Although we are physically present, we don't really know who's there, what's happening until the time we come out of the exam session or we come out of the public speaking stage. So you sit there, observe everything, remind yourself that this is it. Now I just have to spend 3-4 minutes giving certain answers to certain questions, and I will be getting my RT license in my hand. And you all know how important RT is for you all. Not for everyone, but for some of you all, it's a matter of getting a job and not getting your licenses converted or not, and getting started with your CPL training or not, or just getting another monkey off your back. So you will still have time. You still have time right now. You'll always have time till the time you go and appear for your exams, be it Hyderabad, be it December, be it Delhi, or be it next year. So you have to understand why and what is happening in part 2, why I'm going slow initially for a couple of lectures, why I'm not just giving you some written material and giving you a PPT presentation and just getting done with it. You have to understand why. Because if you learn like this, then I'm hoping that you'll be able to perform the way I want. But if you're learning like this, but not performing the way I want, then it is not working. Are you following, students? Do you understand what is being trained to you? It's not just the concepts. The concepts are easy. Eventually you will learn. As a pilot, you will be aware of everything. This is general knowledge. But your ability to clear will also depend upon how confidently and how nicely you're explaining answers to the questions. And if you think you cannot explain, then I'm here to teach you. You have to have an open mind and learn that. So understand, learning is not only about what is iCAO, definition of iCAO. Learning is also about how to explain the definition of iCAO. And I'm teaching that to you all. You all have time. Practice, and get back to me if you're not succeeding in your endeavors. Like, sir, I'm still feeling low. I'm feeling low. I'll make sure that I give you strategies and improve. This is soft skill training. This will help you in the long run. This will help you in your future interviews also. Some of you all might not need it, but some of you all could use the touch-up. Some of you all might need it in entirety. So please make sure you're aware of this, okay? So talking about how to give an answer, let's say Nukul and Vignesh are my examiners. So I'll say, thank you, sir. A very good afternoon, sir. Very good afternoon, sir. My name is Alkesh, and it's my first exam session, and I'm very, very privileged to be here in front of you all. I've been looking forward to this day as a short-term goal. Before they ask you, tell us something about yourself, you should try to initiate a conversation. They'll be like, wow, this guy or girl knows what they're doing. They'll be like, wow, what is happening? Generally, everyone is so nervous. Only a few students are like this, and these students will guarantee clearing in their first attempt. Understand, students. It's easy to do it. You have to just do some acting for 3 to 4 minutes. You don't have to change yourself. You understand? I'm not asking to change yourself. If you're bad with English, stay bad with English. If you're bad with grammar, stay bad with grammar. I'm giving you everything spoon feeding right now. How to say, what to say. Just try to do that much. in the worst case scenario. All right. So how to give the answer? So they will say, okay, good, good. They will go through your form, application form, part 1 answers, everything. Nice, nice. And they'll start with their questions, whatever they want to ask. It could be, tell us something about yourself. It could be, tell us how did you prepare for RT? Like one of our students who cleared last exam was asked this question only. Tell us how did you clear RT? But you could, how did you prepare for RT? So you could tell your story, how did you prepare for RT? But anyway, I'll give you good answers for all such questions over the end. What I feel like are the correct answers, but you could also always come up with your answers also. And then they'll ask us, okay, tell us what do you understand by iCAO? If this is the question, let's say Nukul is from DGC and Nukul is asking that to me. So I'll say, okay, sir, iCAO is actually an abbreviation given to International Civil Aviation Organization. International Civil Organization, the headquarters, which is based in Montreal, Canada, and which was founded in 1944 based on the Chicago Convention, is actually the parent organization in the world that looks after the well-being of civil aviation industry overall across all the member states, which means member countries, which are overall 193 countries at present, along with 800 industry groups. Together, iCAO is one team where India is also a part of iCAO, where we all the member states or countries, we follow the same rules, regulations to ensure that civil aviation industry is safe, economically sustainable, environmentally responsible, and the couple of more adjectives that I had given you. Even if you say 3 out of those 2 are fine. So iCAO overall keeps an oversight over all the operations, rules, regulations, changes, and everything. And iCAO thus becomes the parent organization. But iCAO is not only the parent organization, not the only parent organization. iCAO is actually a United Nations specialized agency. So under United Nations, we have iCAO, and under iCAO, we have civil aviation authorities for all other different member states or countries. Now, the importance of iCAO, I'd tell you, sir, can be understood with the help of standards and recommended practices. iCAO has issued standards in the form of annexures that talk about all the regulations to be followed with respect to all areas of operation, and recommended practices are how to follow those procedures, the technical guide. The recommended practices come out in the form of docs or documents. So all the DGCA regulations, rules, everything is based upon these annexures and these docs only. And the whole world, all airlines and all people involved in civil aviation are working on the basis of these annexures and docs and the country's own civil aviation requirements or similar documents. Did I give a chance for them to ask me anything? Now my answer is complete. I can go on and on because I've learned the trick. Do you understand? So you should also need to know when to stop. But that is later. You should first learn to speak. Now, what did I do, students? What did I say something that you all could not understand about iCAO? I want to know from you all. Come on, quick. Anyone? Let me know through emojis, verbal. Yeah, everyone. Sahana, are you following?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Sahil, Pooja. Did you all understand or not?
Affirm, sir.
Go through your
Affirm,
notes.
sir.
I asked you all to go through your notes for iCAO. It's a simple thing. Did I miss a few points? Yes. Did I cover a lot of points? Yes. Did I say something different from what is there in the notes? No. But did I say it verbatim? No. Did I say it in the same structure? No. But did I say it nicely? Yes. So how am I doing it? If you ask me the same question again, I'll not be able to repeat the same answer again. Let's try it. Okay, what is iCAO? iCAO is an abbreviation given to International Civil Aviation Organization. Now I'm trying to recollect everything the way I said it, okay? It's a parent organization for civil aviation industry in the entire world, but only for the member countries who are a part of the organization. But the total number of countries in the world is 195, out of which 193 countries or 193 countries are a part of iCAO. These countries are known as member states. India is one of them. So see, my answer is changing. My chronology is changing. This thought of ability to give an answer keeps away a lot of hard work in mugging up concepts. Now I'm not worried about iCAO. I don't have to memorize also. Because I know if anyone ever asks, I can give 5 to 7 points about it in my own words. That is what your agenda or your idea should be when you're learning part 2. Have you understood it? Good. In your own words, students, in your own words. I don't mind if it's a broken English or a broken grammar. In your own words, do you understand? In your own words, try to explain. That's it. They understand not everybody is good with English. That's why we are learning RT, right? RT is English without grammar, and you have learned RT. You have spent so much of time in RT. Use that RT language to give your answers then. Why you are still stuck to that language which you are using before you were not trained? So understand, everything is in your hand. All you have to do is have the willpower to try and understand what sir is doing. You will get it. Some might get it quickly right now. Some might get it in 2 days. Some might get it in 2 weeks, but you will get it. You have to believe. All right, students, you have to believe. It's easy. If you are worried and nervous about part 2, don't be. Part 1 should be something that would be causing you. But no, now that is not the problem. Why? Because you have done part 1 thoroughly and somewhere you just need 10, 20%. But right now you're not done part 2, so you're worried. But now understand, whatever you're going to learn, after the session, you have to try to see your ability to recall it in your own words. You have to check it by yourself, students. And then you have to discuss that with me if you need extra training on that. I'll sit with you and I'll do with you one-on-one. Simple. Got it, students? Done? This is the last I'm going to say this, because we have a lot to cover and we don't have the liberty of extra time. Any questions? So after iCAO, I'll be checking with you all, okay? I'll be checking with you all how you're giving answers soon. So make sure you get a hang of it, students. After iCAO, write down DGCA. Wait. Before DGCA, I think we should write ITU. ITU. What is ITU? So I think in sequence, this is lecture 31 for the batch Echo 22, and part 2 Viva, it's lecture 2. So I have nicely titled it so that in case you're revising or students will be doing it in Hyderabad later on for you, it becomes easier for you to revise. It's not that you will be only learning in this batch. You'll be learning in all live batches as long as it takes for you to clear the exams. But still, it will help you. And okay, write down about DGCA, correction. What was it? ITU. Full form. So write down. ITU is the abbreviation for International Telecommunications Union. ITU is the abbreviation for International Telecommunications Union. Students, one thing that can help you remember things quickly is the technique of picture memory. Whatever notes you make, you can just try to click a picture in your memory with an intent that you'll recall it whenever you need it. Many geniuses use that technique naturally, and it's a technique that can be learned. I keep sharing this again and again. I think it's very much applicable and handy for RT Part 2. Anyway, no ITU, write down. This is point number 2. After iCAO, ITU. ITU is an abbreviation for International Telecommunications Union. Some people, they will not study it thoroughly. Some students will not study it thoroughly. And in rush of completing, when I ask this question to them, you know what is the answer that I'll get? I'll get the answer as International Telecommunications Unit, not Union. Such little errors are made by default by students who are preparing in rush or who are not thoroughly prepared. And these definitions are very basic. It's like ABCD of English. It's not something in depth. All right. So make sure you're learning it right away, not keeping it for later. That's why I'm giving you dictation today, not writing much of it in direct words. And yeah, I have to share the screen also with you all. See, if you're wondering, sir, why you're wasting so much of time talking and not teaching, I'll tell you. This is because I have realized, I've got to know that you're not making the most of how you're being trained. That's why I'm saying all this, so that we are on the same page. Okay, that's why. Simple. ITU, second point, write down, is a United Nations specialized agency, just like ICAO. ITU is the United Nations specialized agency. United Nations specialized agency for information and communication technologies. This is an important abbreviation, ICTs. It's a universal abbreviation, ICT. So it's a UN specialized agency for international communication technologies. Information and communication technologies. I say again, UN Specialized Agency for Information and Communication Technologies, ICTs. Its headquarters are in, ITU's headquarters are in Geneva in Switzerland. I'll show you the spelling of Geneva. Geneva in Switzerland, and has 12 regional and area offices around the world. This much will be more than enough about the locations. Headquarters is in Geneva in Switzerland. Where is the headquarters of ICAO? It's in Montreal, Canada. Where is the headquarters of ITU? It's in Geneva, Switzerland. It has 12 regional and area offices around the world. Now, the abbreviation that I was giving you was ICTs, Information and Communication Technologies. What do you mean by information and communication, students? Everything utilizing radio waves or wireless is information and communication. Your internet is a part of information and communication. Wireless transmissions using walkie-talkies and mobile phones are a part of information and communication technologies. Radio equipments, everything that we use, including mobile phones, including landlines, telegraphs, and Morse code machines also, like telegraphs only. Everything is under information and communication technologies. Even the usage of frequencies. If you must have heard the chaos about introduction of 5G. Before that there was 4G. Before that there was 3G. Before that there was 2G. What is all this? These are frequencies. 5G means 5 gigahertz. 4G means 4 gigahertz. We use those frequency bands in aviation, navigation applications also. For communication, we are using megahertz. If you all remember, I'll be giving it to you in your notes, VHF and HF frequency ranges. So, who can use which frequency? The frequency spectrum allocation, the whole range of frequencies available in the nature is called as a spectrum, frequency spectrum. So, the allocation of the frequency spectrum is done by ITU only across the whole world. So, just like ICAO has DGCA in India, ITU has Ministry of Communication in India. Under Ministry of Communication in India, we will have for wireless communications, WPC. So this is why these questions are basic to you. Okay. So write down the next point about ITU. ITU allocates global radio spectrum and satellite orbits. ITU allocates global radio spectrum. Now you know what is the meaning of radio spectrum, all available frequencies, and satellite orbits. ITU ensures that technologies keep the world interconnected efficiently. So if you're wondering who is responsible over the period of 150 years about the world being developed and grown the way it is, it would not have happened without communications. And that communication, so ITU has been doing it for more than 100 years, students. It's the oldest international organization in the world. So write down, ITU is the oldest international organization in the world. So radio, telegraphy, everything was invented long ago. What was this guy's name? Marconi antenna, everything, it was long ago. Even before airplanes, communication technology was invented. Radio frequencies were invented. Morse code was invented. Landlines were invented. There were big companies taking international orders to connect the whole world just with landlines. Those countries today are manufacturers of headphones, headsets, all that. If you know the premium company of headphones, this company, by the name, it looks like it's some Indian startup. But it's one of the oldest companies. Now they have changed the name, but it's the oldest audio equipment manufacturing company. And this company, its parent company, actually had one of the greatest contacts to establish all landlines across the world, connecting all the countries back then, 100 years ago. Or 70, 60 years ago. I think 70, 80 years ago, they had the contract. So anyway, all this is not going to be asked to you, but still you need to know the importance of ITU. Let's get done with ITU quickly. A couple of more points, write it down. ITU has a membership of 193 countries and 800 plus industry groups. Same as iCATS. A last point you can write, ITU coordinates all matters regarding telecommunication at an international level. Okay, students, now we are just getting started. Okay, fasten your seat belts, all right? I'm just relying on your capacity to learn. The moment I feel you can learn quickly, I'll start teaching quickly, okay? So iCATS and ITU, any doubts? Vishnu is our hotspot at the moment.
Negative, sir.
Yeah, all eyes will be on you. 22nd, I'll start getting messages. Sir, what happened? Vishnu, your student, what happened, sir? Can I get the question paper? Did he clear? What happened, sir? I'll be like, no, he could not clear. He was not ready. It was too soon. Oh my God, even I won't clear. This is what students would do. Because the same sir has taught you, right? And I'll be like,
So
oh, Vishnu
whatever
cleared.
happens, I'll
If I
just
say-
come back to the class.
No, listen. Yeah, that's nice actually. But if I say that if I say that Vishnu cleared, then people will be like, oh, Vishnu was super genius. I'll not be able to clear. Someone who has to be in negative will be negative students. Oh, Vishnu did it with so less much of time. I have 1 month. I won't be able to do it. I don't have it in me. So students, it's not like that. My students, I believe, will always clear. Simple. So please have that belief. Jyotsna, Hardik, Rishi, I'm supposed to connect with you all soon. So make sure you're ready with your doubts. Sahil, I need to make you ready a week before your exams at least. So please speak to me, let me know, right? Pooja, we are talking, no problem. Priyam, your doubts are parked. I need to discuss that with you also. Nukul, need to check your performance also. Your exams are also coming. Good. So, ICAO, ITU, anything? Any doubts? 2 questions in your bag. That's how your preparation should be live in class. Are you understanding me, students? Don't take it ahead with you. Master these points right away. It's very basic. You don't have to do a PhD research on every topic. Everyone, I'm giving you time. Go through it. ICAO, ITU. Pooja, any doubts? Rishi, your focus should be whether you have understood it and can you speak it in your own words. Simple. At the moment, your own words could be any mother tongue. Any doubts? Rishi, ITU, ICAO, do we know what they are? Do we understand ICAO is an organization taking care of all information technology related to communications on an international level? Do you understand this microphone and the gadgets that I'm using and the gadgets that you're using? Everything is approved or designed by ITU. Somewhere or the other, or if not ITU, then the ITU would have assigned it to someone else for that particular country. And ITU is assigned it to which country? In India, who has ITU assigned it to? ITU has assigned it to Ministry of Communication. So I'm going to make this flowchart again. Quickly make this flowchart, everyone. And please don't mind the professional behind me, okay? He's just getting some structural audit done. So, yeah. So below UN, we have ICAO, we have ITU. Under ICAO for aviation, we have Ministry of Civil Aviation, and under Ministry of Civil Aviation, we have DGCA, applicable to you pilots directly. If you are someone who deals with airports and facilitation, then under Ministry of Civil Aviation, you would have had Airports Authority of India instead of DGCA. So you need to know it's not just DGCA that takes care of everything. If it is not related to flying but facilitation, then it will be given to Airports Authority of India. So write down Airports Authority of India. We'll be talking about it also in brief. So understand there are various departments dealing with various sectors. Even in aviation, DGCA will be dealing with directly flying related, flying and engineering related, licensing and everything. Bhavin is saying, what if they ask which countries are not a part of ICAO and ITU? I know the names, but I'm not current with the information. So just do some R&D, students. Whenever you feel like going through Instagram Reels or YouTube, do this research instead. These are small countries. Their names are also very funny. I can give you that hint. You must have never heard their names also. I had never heard them before I found it out. 1 second, okay? Okay, sorry for that. Yeah, okay, fine. Good. So ICAO, MOCA, DGCA, AI, and under ITU, okay, DGCA and AI, DGCA related to someone else, AI related to someone else. You will not be related to AI unless you want to deal with business related to airports or some facilitation. Okay. Under ITU, we have whatever ITU does for India, completely for India, they have assigned all the responsibilities to Ministry of Communications, Government of India. Under Ministry of Communications, we have WPC. What is WPC? WPC is Wireless Planning and Coordination Wing. Please make sure you don't confuse this with anything else. It's a wing. Wing means a department. A wing of what? A wing or a department of Ministry of Communications, Government of India. So now whatever radio frequency related regulations ITU wants the entire world to follow, it will assign all the responsibility to ensure we are following it or not to the Ministry of Communications under Government of India. And to that Ministry of Communications under Government of India, anything to do with wireless communications, your wireless routers or routers, how you call it, your mobile phones, walkie-talkies, all wireless gadgets. If you're manufacturing them in India, you need approval from WPC that these are my hardware, transmitters, receivers, and these are my frequency bands. I'm not going to use more than these allocated frequency bands in my hardware, mobile phones, or walkie-talkies, or satellite phones. Then WPC will give you written approval, take the fees, and then only you will start your manufacturing. So WPC has the complete authority over all that. The other day, one of the students was saying, sir, I'll try to make a radio apparatus to watch out the frequencies. I said, no, it's illegal. Get an amateur license and do it. Why? And who will give this amateur license? Amateur license will be given by WPC only. It is like that. So why do you think WPC is taking your exams? Because you need a license for radio telephony restricted. Radio telephony is always wireless. And what RTR that you're learning about, they will ask this to you also. Types of RTR licenses. Okay. So you are doing RTR-A. What is the meaning of RTR-A? Taught to you in initial classes. Radio, telephony, restricted, and restricted to aeronautical frequencies only. So you are not supposed to use maritime frequencies. In your license that you will get, the words would be written clearly that the holder of this license is proficient in aviation radio telephony and is licensed to use frequencies related to aeronautical maritime use. That maritime would be crossed out. There is one article called as RTRP. It's a permit. Some people who get it converted from foreign license to Indian, they get a permit. They don't get an RTR-A, but that permit and A could be similar to each other or not. Depends upon the scenario. Sometimes the permit will be equivalent to RTR-A. Then there are certain RTR also like RTR-G also, general. But all this, I'll see if I can give it to you in a list of notes. Just remember the full form of your RT. So who gives you this RT? WPC, Wireless Planning and Coordination Wing of the Ministry of Communication, Government of India. Now, if you're going to import radio apparatus, which happens a lot in India, before importing also you need approval from WPC, what you're importing, what is the hardware, and what are the frequencies that the hardware is going to use. And if you know, there is also something known as DOT. What is DOT? DOT is Department of Telecommunications. This Department of Telecommunications is also a wing of our Ministry of Communications. This Department of Telecommunications takes care of all sorts of telecommunications. Does WPC come under it? In certain aspects, it could come under it. But in the end, WPC is your last person to get any wireless approvals, authorities, licenses. And how many offices do we have WPC? We have Mumbai Regional Office, Regional Licensing Office, we call them RLO. Regional Licensing Office. We have one in Mumbai, we have one in Delhi, one in Chennai. How do you know? You know it with the help of applications where you can send your RT forms. For Hyderabad also, you send it to Chennai. It means there is one Chennai RLO office. There is one Delhi RLO office, one Mumbai RLO office, and probably there's one Kolkata RLO office also. 4. Check it on the form, you'll get to know. These questions can always be asked to you. So you all know what is WPC, you all know what is DGCA. Now we'll write about DGCA and WPC specific lines. All right. This WPC issues RTRA, okay? If you all remember, since so many years, people were talking about changing the pattern for RT exam, this and that, this and that. The petition was filed, the petition was accepted by DGCA, but then it was denied after 30 days of the act or the notice coming in. Why? Because they simply said one thing, only WPC is authorized to issue wireless licenses, so we cannot do anything about it. DGCA is being smart enough to keep an oversight on the exam licenses and keep an examiner of DGCA to make sure that the RT license holder is at a level of DGCA acceptance. That is the importance of the DGCA personnel sitting in WPC examination hall. Do you understand what's happening, students? Dunyadari samajh aa rahi hai yahan pe, which is going to help you clear your papers. This is general knowledge related to your field, which you should be aware about by now. It is not unnecessary information. Similarly, these informations are asked to you in your Viva. These are basic things which you are learning. So that DGCA is there. Okay. So you have to satisfy the DGCA also. You have to satisfy the WPC also, both. Yeah, part 2 Viva. So WPC will take care of all the regulatory questions. And DGCA will take care of all the technical questions. Ideally. Are you getting me, students? Chalo. Let's write down about DGCA. Number 3. DGCA is the abbreviation for Directorate General of Civil Aviation. DGCA is the abbreviation for Directorate, not Director. Directorate General of Civil Aviation. Directorate General of Civil Aviation. Now, how do you start describing DGCA? Simple words, I'm just going to give you 3 lines, okay, about DGCA. Write it down. The DGCA, or the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, is the regulatory body in the field of civil aviation primarily dealing with safety issues. The main function is safety. So DGCA is the safety in charge under Ministry of Civil Aviation, Government of India. Interesting. So many students have sent me the answers already. Bhavin was also asking, why are these countries not a member? It's voluntary, Bhavin. They choose not to be a part of ICAO. It's voluntary. Nobody can force them to be a member. It's like that. So people can always choose to leave the organization anytime they want. Nobody will remove them. Holy See and can someone help me pronounce this? Can anyone verbally try to pronounce this in the class? Anyone super good with their pronunciations? So someone has messaged me that, sir, two countries, Holy See and this, they too are not members of iCATS.
Sir, it is pronounced as Liechtenstein.
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 Liechtenstein. Is that correct? Thank you, Sahil. Is that correct, students? Sharad, Achal, Sahana, Rishi, Pooja. I think everyone is good with their pronunciations here in class. Hardik, I think everybody has good hold on their English language because I can hear you all talk, right? I forgot it, Sahil. Say again, Sahil.
Liechtenstein. Sir, it's a small country in Europe.
I have read about it, but never spoken. And Holy See, earlier there were different countries. Now they're different countries. I think those countries became a part and these countries became not a part. Non-contracting states are Holy See and Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein. See, students, even I learn things every day. You should not feel embarrassed about it. Okay, very nice. Sir, Iraq, Afghanistan, maybe. Priyam was just making a guess. Iraq and Afghanistan. No, they are very much apart. Non-contracting states, iCATS, Holy See, very smart students. Vishnu, amateur license, yeah, ham radio frequencies only. Of course, not aviation frequencies. For aviation frequencies, get an RT license. Even then, your equipment has to be on board the aircraft only. You cannot use your own equipment. So that's why it's restricted.
That's sad.
Students, you are growing up. Some of you all already know it, but understand radio frequencies are like gold. It's not even like gold. It's like diamond and platinum. It is very easy for us to pay 300, 400 per month and use 1 month mobile phone service and pay 10, 20 grand or maybe 2 lakhs, depending on what phone you're buying. It is easy for us to do it, but it's taken 150 years to invent all that. So back then in 1850s, when everything was introduced, it was a big secret. Everybody wanted it. And when World War I was happening, World War II was happening, Cold War was happening, there were you must have seen it in movies. There were special spies. There were special people just there to decode transmissions on radio frequencies. And they didn't have computers. The computers used to be as big as 1 BHK, 2 BHK flats. And then they used to monitor all available frequencies to see if someone is spying or sending a discrete code on another frequency. Then after scanning thousands of frequency bands, they used to find one discrete code sent by some country to another country or some enemy or this and that. Then they had to decode it. Imagine, everything was possible. After all the wars and everything got over, they had to commercialize it. Simple as that. So they commercialized it. Anyway, let's come back to DGCA. DGCA is the regulatory body in the field of civil aviation, primarily dealing with safety issues. So safety issues is the key word. Regulatory body is the key word. Now I want to teach you another topic in case you think English grammar and all is a big challenge. See, you have to just pretend for 3 to 5 minutes in the examiner's room, right? That much only. So focus on keywords. DGCA, Directorate General of Civil Aviation. You will get first extra points the moment you say directorate. Because half of the students will end up saying director only. Okay, not everybody would be as smart as you all in the examination because you're learning more than others, ideally. So Directorate General, you will get good points. Then when you say it is the regulatory body of civil aviation concerned with safety issues, say only keyword students. Regulatory body, field of civil aviation, dealing with safety issues primarily. Keywords, focus on keywords. If you don't say regulatory body, then it will not make much more sense. If you say regulatory body, you don't have to say anything else. Focus on keywords. What are keywords? Learn to spot keywords. I'll keep highlighting keywords in our statements from now on. Keep your memory of keywords as a picture memory. That's it. All you need is a little hint in the examiner's room to come up with an answer. You get a hint, just cook up a story and send it, speak it. That's it. When I say cook up a story, it means speaking in your own words. Liechtenstein. Vignesh has given me a proper Liechtenstein. Jyotsna is asking, sir, is it possible they are not apart because they don't have international airports? Probably yes. Probably they don't want to deal with international aviation by choice. But it will always be by choice, students. There's no competition to be a member of iCAO. Even India wants, India can choose to become a non-part of iCAO. But then all the logistics in the world where so much of import and export is happening, India is a big consumer for world multinational companies, right? They become billionaires when Indians purchase what they are selling or a part of what they are selling. So it'll become difficult for them. So I think it won't be possible for us to do it because then it will hamper our growth also. See, students, you have to understand, most of the flying can be considered as blind, okay? Because you're flying at such a high speed, you cannot see many things below. You cannot see incoming, outgoing aircrafts. By yourself as a pilot, you cannot guarantee your safety. You need people on the ground. And you need all those people connected through technologies and a use and system of radars, radar tracking, rules, regulations to ensure other people, even by mistake, will not be at your altitude when you are at that altitude on that particular route. All that system is made by iCAO and ITU. We are just using that system. What we have made is the physical runway or the airport and all, we could say our government has invested. But the regulation and all the ground facilities all across the globe, somewhere or the other, are supported by iCAO and ITU. Understand? And the whole management is done by them, so the task becomes easy for us. We have to just invest and make it work. This is one industry in India that we see is not impacted by other things that are impacted in the country. Why? Because the oversight is with iCAO. It is like that. So if our politicians or people in charge do not comply with these requirements, then our license would be invalid. All our airports would be closed down and aircrafts would be inserviceable to fly. So all our business owners will incur a heavy loss. And one way or the other, the business owners, they run the economy of the country. If the economy of the country is running, then the politicians are keeping the people happy. So if the airline is falling, people are not getting jobs, people are unable to travel, then the blame will come on the government, and the government cannot afford that. Everything is interconnected. Still, people will find a way to do wrong things, but within limits. Such is a mindset of people. You have to understand what you are doing, why you are doing. RT is not your ultimate goal. Your ultimate goal is to fly for a very reputed airline, or maybe get your dream job based on RT, engineering, dispatch, or whatever. So focus on those goals. This is just one little stepping stone, which pilots do on a daily basis, every day when they are working. Entire RT that you're learning is a daily job of you as a pilot. Never forget that. So point number 2 and point number 3, quickly, DGCA. Write down, the DGCA is the Indian governmental regulatory body. The DGCA is the Indian governmental regulatory body for civil aviation, working under the Ministry of Civil Aviation, Government of India. I say again, the DGCA is the Indian governmental regulatory body It is the Indian governmental regulatory body in the field of civil aviation, Correction. It is the Indian governmental regulatory body for civil aviation. I say again, for civil aviation, working under the Ministry of Civil Aviation, Government of India. See two abbreviations for Ministry of Civil Aviation, Government of India. Third point you will write down. DGCA is responsible for key points, okay? Regulation of air transport services, to or from or within India. So now we get one function in this definition, that DGCA is responsible for regulation of air transport services, either to India or from India. It means international, either coming in India or going out from India, or a domestic flight within India. Okay. So all the air transport services, cargo and commercial aviation air transport services, will be regulated under the responsibility of DGCA. One more point add. DGCA is also responsible for the enforcement of civil aviation regulations air safety standards and airworthiness standards. So it is responsible for enforcement of. Enforcement, I'll write again in proper spelling. Enforcement means bringing it into action, taking complete control over the activity. So what is DGCA responsible for? It is responsible for civil aviation regulations, all the rules and regulations in the form of civil aviation requirements and all. Then air safety standards. What are the air safety standards we need to maintain? Safety in air can be guaranteed if you follow or maintain certain standards of quality. What are those standards? Who will enforce those standards? DGCA is responsible to enforce those safety standards. Remember, safety as a keyword we saw in the earlier point also, primarily dealing with safety issues. So safety is very important. Air safety plus airworthiness standards. What is airworthiness standard? If your aircraft is fit to fly in air or not. If you as a pilot are fit to fly in air or not. If you're fit to fly, then it means you are meeting a certain standard. That standard is known as airworthiness standard. What are these standards? Clearing your ground papers, scoring 70 or above, clearing 200 plus hours from an approved flight training school with an approved logbook. Those are standards for you. Clearing class 2, class 1 medical from an approved medical practitioner is a standard for you that you need to maintain. If you maintain all these standards, then you're competent to get the CPL license and you're competent enough to fly. So who establishes these standards? DGCA. Airworthiness, air safety, civil aviation regulations. Is that clear, students? Take a minute, go through ICAO, ITU, and DGCA. I'm investing so much of time on these topics. One out of these 4 could be asked to every one of y'all. Do you understand? These are that basic questions. Quickly do it. I'll give you all a quick breather and we'll continue with WPC. Let's say we'll not take a breather now. We'll just wrap up early. Let's continue. Just give yourself a couple of minutes to go through ICAO, ITU, DGCA. See if you have understood the points. See if you'll remember the points in the exam. Plus, see if you are able to recall. If you have any doubts related to that, you discuss that with me right away. It looks easy. It is easy. Your job is to see whether you are able to confidently talk about it. Just go through it. See if you have any doubts. Okay, let's quickly write down WPC. Just give me a second, students. Just go through these definitions. Just 1 second, okay? One second, okay, students? All right, start. WPC stands for Wireless Planning and Coordination Wing. You write in complete sentence, okay? WPC stands for Wireless Planning and Coordination Wing. Under the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology, that is IT. So we write down the whole name of the ministry. It's not just Ministry of Communications, but it's the Ministry of Communications and IT, that is Information Technology. Under the Department of Telecoms. Second point, write down. WPC was created in 1952. Third point you can write down. WPC is the National Radio Regulatory Authority responsible for, so the keywords are National Radio Regulatory Authority, responsible for frequency spectrum management, how to manage the available frequencies allocated by ITU basically. So right now, the auction was just completed in our country for the sale of or for the use of 5G frequencies. Vignesh is asking, sir, can we talk about headquarters or regional office for DGCA? Of course, you can. Any extra points? If you know about these points, you can always add to your answer. That would add. So, WPC is the National Radio Regulatory Authority. Radio Regulatory Authority, simple. National, that is for country. Radio in itself means wireless. Okay, students, radio word means wireless. If you're thinking, sir, wireless is not mentioned, then ideally it's mentioned because the radio word means wireless. So National Radio Regulatory Authority responsible for frequency spectrum management. How to regulate the use of frequencies. As well as allocation, I would say. WPC deals with radio licenses. Okay. Next point you will write, WPC deals with all wireless users including government and private in India. WPC is also the National Broadcasting Authority. Now, what is broadcasting, students? Whenever you want to transmit a message on radio frequency for a lot of people to listen, like our Prime Minister uses Man Ki Baat. I think it's a monthly radio show or something. I've never heard it personally, but I do know that they do something of that sort. In olden days, these broadcasts were the only way of communicating the other people of news, of current happenings, about announcement of wars, this and that. Okay, so that broadcast can still be utilized in places where other communication procedures or systems fail. Plus, we have All India Radio that broadcasts on one particular frequency for the entire India to listen to. That is AM. And then we have FM. FM is private radio broadcasting entities. They are just running a channel with music and with information and with advertisements, how they make money. Everything is controlled by WPC. So that is the meaning of National Broadcasting Authority over there. Similarly in aviation, what kind of broadcast do we have? In aviation, we have ATIS, Voice ATIS, an article telecommunication information automatic terminal information service, ATIS. We call it voice artist, that is broadcast. Then there could be digital artist also, wherein you'll get a digital report about your airport or whatever your airfield is in picture. So remember these points about WPC. There are more points, but it is okay. Regional offices you can write down: Mumbai, Chennai, Calcutta, and Delhi is the head office actually. So we won't say Delhi has his regional office. So you'll write down headquarters, seventh point, number 7. Headquarters, Delhi, and regional offices, Mumbai, Chennai, Calcutta, and Guwahati. Students, take a look. These many points are enough. Okay. Go through iCAO, go through DGCA, go through ITU, and go through WPC. I want everyone to be able to give these answers. Simple. Nothing. This is just how we are getting started. Quick, students. Come on. Any doubts? Anyone? Are you able to remember, understand? Have you written it down clearly? Make sure you're doing it. Don't take it lightly. Take it easy. That's it. Okay, no questions? Take your time, go through it. Pooja, memorize all. See if you are able to understand. Hardik, Priyam, Sahil. For you, it's double training for a few topics. Make sure you don't keep anything pending for later on. Nukul, any doubts? Achal.
Sir,
Yeah, Nukul, tell me.
sir, in which year ITU established?
1950. ITU? I'll tell you.
ITU.
I'll tell you. Just a second. I'll tell you. Students, just give me a second. Keep doing what I've asked you to do. All right. It's just the structural audit, students. I'm so sorry, but done. Now I want to show you all something. Okay, we have another question. Do we really have a regional office in WPC in Guwahati? Not seeing that in RLO list and notifications. Keep Guwahati as optional right now, students. Maybe they might have shifted it. Keep it optional. If Vishnu is saying that, keep it optional. I'll look it up. I'll confirm. Remove Guwahati for now. Keep it optional or just remove it. Probably it should have, but maybe they are sharing it with Kolkata only, just like the FIR. We'll check. whatever doubts you're finding, let me know. Okay. Yeah. So now, students, all these regulations and all that I talk about, yeah, I will just give this much to you before we wrap up the session. Yeah, this is good. Good, I remembered this. Okay, do this, okay, students. Now we are going to talk about the mode, how iCAO is issuing these standards and recommended practices. So remember yesterday I made this, make this again, iCAO standards and iCAO recommended practices. So iCAO, under standards, we have annexes or annexures, if you remember. You will be required to memorize the name in sequence of all these annexures, because they'll be asking you about what annexure stands for what. And I'll tell you the most sought after, most frequently asked annexures also. So those you can prioritize on. Including annexures, we also have recommended practices in the form of docs. So I'll email you the whole list of docs, but out of those, a few only are to be memorized. Vignesh, you can come up with your own pattern. Vignesh is telling us, sir, we can make a format to study like that. Full form, when was it started, what are the headquarters, what is the regional office, what are the parent organization, and what is the function that it deals with. Of course, makes sense. Good strategy, Vignesh. Good strategy. You can use that. Standards, in standards, we have annexes. Let's quickly write down the list of all these annexures. I think some of you all already know it from regulations and all. Good. Just memorize and revise it. Annexure 1. What is Annexure 1? Anyone remembers?
Personal license.
Very nice. Very nice, Sahana. Very nice, Priyam. Personal licensing. So anything, all the rules and regulations that you need to follow when it comes to giving licenses to people or personnel involved in civil aviation, not just pilots, everyone. What are the rules, standards, regulations as issued by iCAO? All that you'll find in the document under iCAO standards. The name of the document is Annexure 1. DGCA will ask you if you have ever seen annexures. If you have never seen them, you said, no, sir, I haven't seen, but I have studied about them. Simple. But I have seen civil aviation requirements which are based upon annexures. Why would you have seen civil aviation requirements? Because Indian Aviation Ministry has that online available for everyone. That's why. For iCAO, only a few publications are free to access. Other publications you have to pay to the digital library to buy. I have an account with iCAO, so I know all half documents are freely available. If you want, I can share it with you all. Half documents are not available, for which we'll have to pay. But luckily, I was able to source free publications from another regulatory authority of another country. They kept it available, so I was able to gather a little more than that is available without having to pay much. But it's no harm in paying if it's applicable to you also. So if you're under operations, if you're running an airline or a flying club or something, then it's good that you get a recent copy of all these annexures. So Annexure 1, personal licensing. Similarly, we have a list. We have how many annexures in total, students? 17, 19, 16, 15?
19.
19. Yes. So from Annexure 1, we have total Annexure 1, 9, and 19. Out of those, I will be emailing you all a list of all annexures. It's just a scanned copy of one of the textbooks that I could get my hands on. I think Bali or some. But the information is verified. You will be memorizing the list of all annexures. Okay, so Annexure 2 also, Annexure 3 also. 2 annexures of prominence here will be Annexure 10 and Annexure 15. So I'm just going to talk about these 2 annexures, and all other annexures you have to memorize. Make sure you do so. Just the name and the name of the annexure and the title of the annexure. So write down Annexure 10. 1 second, okay? Stand by. Yeah. One sec, okay? Yeah. Annexure 10. Annexure 10 stands for Aeronautical Telecommunications. So now you know why this is important. Because it deals with communications and RT is all about communications. Okay. And Annexure 15. Sorry. Very important. Annexure 15. Aeronautical Information Service or Services. Okay. Now they will ask you questions like, what are the parts of Annexure 10? Or what are the volumes of Annexure 10? And what comes in volume 2 of Annexure 10 or volume 3 of Annexure 10? Such questions. Looking at the question or listening to the question, it seems like it's going to be a tough question. But the answer is so simple. Look at it. Annexure 10. How many volumes? Question, answer, 5 volumes. What is volume 3? Answer, volume 3 you will write down, communication systems. So you might be wondering, sir, where did you get this from? I'll show you the whole chart. Next question. What are the parts and in how many parts is volume 3 of NX10 divided? Answer, 2 parts. Part 1, Part 2. So these are publications where you will find relevant information. Again, I'm reminding it again and again. If you're thinking what these publications are all about, then these are documents where you will get information related to standards, regulations, rules, and procedures and practices. Recommended practices means what should be your course of action. That is your recommended practice. So part 1 is digital data communication systems. I'm writing communications in short. And part 2 is voice communication systems. So we deal with voice communication systems in RT. There are another data link and digital communication systems also available these days. But nothing overrules or overpowers the advantages of these live voice communications. They're so realistic. So we are yet to live without them. We have to live with them. So these are a few questions asked in 1 year across consecutive sessions again and again. So yeah. So now I'll tell you how did I get these answers from? You must be thinking time to memorize, but it's very simple. I'll give you this bifurcation, and this bifurcation is also there in the list of your annexures. Okay. So it's like this. Annex 10 has 5 volumes. So it is divided in 5 volumes. The book is huge. So they have shortened the book by segregating the topics and giving it names, volumes, volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, volume 4. Simple. Okay. So volume 1. What is volume 1? Volume 1 talks about radio navigational aids. Radio navigational aids like VOR, ADF, VDF, ILS, radars, all navigation systems. Volume 2, communication procedures. So you can consider all that you're learning in RT, the procedures that you have learned in RT, all those procedures you will find in volume 2 annexure 10. Then what kind of systems do we have? HF, VHF, or what sort of systems do we have? Volume 3. communication systems. So students, these are your guidebooks, these are very important documents on basis of which DGCA is formulating civil aviation requirements and civil aviation regulations. And those in turn, you are learning and studying in your regulations and your navigation and your metrology and your flying school. So all that you're going to do is as per these books. So it becomes an obvious question by the examiner. Are you aware of these books or not? What is your source material of education? If you say, sir, I don't know, I met some instructor online YouTube channel. He taught me. I'm using class notes. They might not like the answer over there. Are you getting it, students? So no matter from where you have learned, I'm teaching you from these annexures only. So you represent these annexures. Don't represent me. It is like that. Sir, all that I've learned through official civil aviation requirements only, based upon the annexures as issued. So it's a safe bet, right? If the government won't take wrong decisions, right? And all these publications are by government. United Nations, imagine, you might not have gone global and you are dealing with terms and conditions maintained by ITU, United Nations, ICAO. I hope you are sensing what I'm trying to, make you understand indirectly, students. Write down the next point quickly. We'll write a couple of docs also. Volume 3 is divided in 2 parts. So part 1, again, digital data communication systems, written there, right? Above, digital data communication systems. And part 2 would be voice communication systems. Remember the voice communication systems, okay? Remember all of these related to 10 and 15 both. Volume 4, surveillance radar and collision avoidance systems. What is surveillance radar, students? Surveillance means observing something from a distance without any communication whatsoever. Like your CCTV, wherever applicable, are called as CCTV surveillance because they are observed from a distance. So surveillance radars are also used to observe traffic from a distance. So surveillance radar and collision avoidance systems, they are a part of volume 4 and they come under communication systems only because they use radio only, right? So what is annexure 10? Annexure 10, again, remind yourself, students, the name of annexure 10, aeronautical telecommunications. Annexure 10, if you repeat something couple of times, it becomes easy to memorize it, right? Annex 10, aeronautical communications. Annex 10 has 5 volumes. Last volume, write it down. Aeronautical, radio, frequency, spectrum. So specifically, which frequencies are going to be used for aeronautical purposes? Aeronautical purposes and aviation frequency usage purposes somewhere have a common line. The only place where you have a common line. Now you cannot say, sir, that I'm not involved into aeronautics. I'm just a pilot. As a pilot, you need to understand the machine that you're flying has been designed and everything with respect to everything in your hands, the control columns and everything is designed by the aeronautical engineers only. So it's an aeronautical science that you're flying. And the theory that you have learned is somewhere derived from aeronautical only and converted into a simple language for anyone to learn. That's why you don't have too many of numericals, apart from certain mandatory calculations with respect to positioning, latitude, longitude, and navigation, great circle and all. That's where you have major formulas, plus in-flight navigation. So those are mandatory for your flight safety in case of system failures. That's why we teach you all that. Other than that, everything else is very simple. So aeronautical language is not used for you. Aeronautical radio frequency spectrum utilization. Okay, these are the volumes, parts of annexure 10. And last thing about an extra 15. What all is in NX5? Correction, NX15. What all is there in NX15? Or NX15 includes what? Now, ideally, I would like to take a separate session to explain you what NX15 is all about, but I'll be teaching that to you all in short. So there's a lot of regulations that we have to do. Major chunk we have covered. Now we'll be doing little more. That is also a general knowledge based topic only. Like Annexure 15, if you're wondering why Annexure 15 to me, then I'll just tell you in short, what is Annexure 15? Again, you'll repeat it. Annexure 15. What is it? Aeronautical Information Service. In short, you can remember it as AIS. It includes these things. AIPs. AIP means that is Aeronautical Information Publication. It's a form of document including AIP Amendment Service. Amendment means any changes brought to an earlier rule, anything that was notified to the personnel via an AIP. AIP is a form of document sent out to people involved in aviation to share certain important aeronautical information with them in real time, not as soon as today, but it can give you a couple of months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months to implement all those changes. So AIPs, I was just sharing this with students. One of the documents, I think Priyam, your batch only, where I showed you all one document was issued as a AIP. On the title, we could see DGCA, Government of India, this and that, Airports Authority of India, I guess. And over there, it was written, it's an AIP. So it's a name of a document. Okay, I'll teach you more, a little more. I'll try to keep a session on these. But so far, remember this much, just in case we don't get time to dwell into it deeper. So it has AIPs. AIPs are forms of a type of document issued to you to transmit information, not just to you, but everywhere. Before ending the session, I'll show you DGCA website and I'll show you where you can access all these documents, okay? Number 2, after AIPs, we only have 7-8 minutes before we are going to end. Be a little fast, students. Yeah. It also has AIP amendments plus AIP supplements. Now you remember when we used to give exams in schools or colleges, if our main answer sheet used to run out, we used to ask for another supplement paper. So whenever an information exchange via an AIP needs added information, we use the same AIP number but add extra pages on which we add extra information. That is AIP supplements. So AIPs can have amendments and can have supplements. Simple. Number 2, NOTAMs. NOTAMs stand for Notice to Airmen. NOTAMs are very common for pilot. NOTAMs will include real-time information related to safety of the aircraft. Like, let's say you're traveling from Delhi to Jaipur, and near Jaipur, there is an air show happening which you were not informed before. Or maybe Air Force wants to do some activity where the airspace is going to be occupied. So a NOTAM will be issued to you and all other pilots departing at that time on that route between Delhi to Jaipur. And that NOTAM, there is a way to read that NOTAM. There are codes. So deciphering or decrypting the NOTAM can be one of the questions in the exams. So that session, again, we have to see if we have time, or else I'll give you theory and you'll understand. But I'll try to show you one at least, how to read NOTAM. It's like a coded information. If you know how to decode, then a simple text of words without any grammar will be able to make sense about what the message is carrying. The message will tell you the start date, end date, type of NOTAM, what is the actual application, and what are the restrictions, and what do you need to prevent. Not reading a NOTAM before your departure can hamper your safety as a pilot in real life. It is very important. Notice to airmen. They can be given to you via a fax copy or a telephone call also, or a physical report also. So AIP or AIS, an Article Information Service, Annex 15, Annex 15 talks about how information related to aviation, civil aviation, the whole information, how is it exchanged between people? There is a system to it, and there is a service established for us that we can use for timely communication between pilots and operators and regulatory authorities. That complete system of communication and information sharing is under Annex 15, an Article Information Service. So all these things that I'm telling you, what are included in AIS, Annex 15, is like, okay, you're clearing navigation. I hope you know how to use CX3. If you say no, then you will not be able to clear navigation. These AIPs, AIS are such topics. They are expecting you to have this information before you go to exam for RT. Ideally, such things should not be expected out of you because you don't have first-hand experience of the industry. But then what they are saying is that at least you learn when we have given everything in documents. At least learn the theories, what they are expecting. So yeah, one way or the other, they are right to expect you all to study this much in their way. It will only make you industry ready pretty soon if you actually follow the protocol. But generally, we want shortcuts, right? We want easy things. All other international schools and regulatory bodies have easy exams. So we want the same in India, but that will happen in 10 to 15 years or maybe 5 to 7 years. Maybe 5 years, maybe 3 years. We can never say when. Then number 3, PIB, pre-flight information bulletins, very important. They will be given to you pre-flight, but they are different from NOTAM. Then number 4, AICs and Article Information Circulars, very important, just like AIPs. And Article Information Circulars. Lists of valid NOTAMs and checklists. Each element from 1 to 5 is used to distribute specific type of aeronautical information. So AIPs will have a specific type of information. AICs will have a specific type of information. So will be for NOTAM, so will be for pre-flight bulletins, and so will be for, yeah, there are 4 major documents basically, just 4. 5 you can associate it with 2 only. They are interconnected. NOTAMs, checklist of valid NOTAMs plus checklist. So this will add us 2.1 instead of 4. So we'll say all from 1 to 4 nicely, so that it's easy to remember. Otherwise, you'll be like, there are 5 documents, but you will be able to recollect only 4. Unnecessarily, you might think that only the 1 document is missing. Okay, students, remember this is gold again and again for part 2. Chances are none of the questions would be asked to you. What to do? Some other questions will be asked to you. That can also happen. But we need to be prepared. That's why nobody takes part 2 as a responsibility in their hands, because they don't have a definite thing that they can teach you. Understand? But we can try that, It works. It works for all my students. Some of them, of course, they struggle clearing in their first attempt, but eventually they do. That's it. So I'll just show you all something. Before we go, just stick with me one more minute. Yeah, this is fine. Okay, so I'm sharing a web screen with you all. I've done it in the past in regulations lecture. I just want to show you this so that it's easy for you to access all these documents. Okay, now you see, earlier I was on WPC website. Now I am going where? First step, DGCA GOV in. You just put enter. You will get www.dgca.gov.in. Government of India, GOI, Directorate General of Civil Aviation. This is the website where you have to follow everything. Whatever ICAO has issued, you don't have to go through annexures per se. You could just go through these regulations because they are up to date. Here, where do you get the regulations and guidance? You get it on the last tab. So see here, these are the tabs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For you, the main tab related to our topics and regulations and WPC is regulations and guidance. Under regulations, what do we have? The first thing, Aircraft Act, something that I said yesterday. Then the aircraft rules. These were the first two things. After that, the next set of rules was made directly in 1994. First, the rules were made in 1937, then directly 1994. Specific rules which were not a part of rules in 37. What are these rules? Demolition of buildings that are obstructing the airways or airports. Then aircraft carriage of dangerous goods, like mobile phone batteries, laptop batteries are considered to be dangerous goods. They can explode in the cargo anytime. And other dangerous goods also. Then aircraft security, hijack and all, 9/11 and all related rules. Investigation, more rules. Then drone rules have just come in 2021. Certain statutory notifications by the government issued that affect aviation in India. What is the national legislation? National law, if you want to read. Law on International Convention, the Chicago Convention, ICAO, you can find here. But our requirements, civil aviation requirements, are the first and foremost requirements. So civil aviation regulatory or regulations, these are the requirements and these are the sections, 11. I'll be giving you all a list of this in your part 2 notes also. You have to memorize the name of the sections at least, if not much. Which section are you related to? Flight Crew Standards Training and Licensing, Section 7. So if you want to check what is the eligibility or anything related to CPL licensing, you will go to CAR, Civil Aviation Requirements, Section 7, Flight Crew Standards. Click here, and then you have all the section divided into simple parts, starting with the first part, Series B. You don't have to remember the name of the series. What is the eligibility criteria for examinations for flight crew licensing? So are you eligible or not? The 10+2, physics, maths, diploma, etc., all eligibility here. Syllabus, part 2. Then the syllabus for another exam. Then the syllabus for another exam. Syllabus for SPL, syllabus for PPL, syllabus for CPL. Then syllabus for ATPL. Then flying training syllabus for pilot licenses. Then syllabus for flight navigators licenses, which generally these days is not offered much because pilots are navigators, but certain aircrafts require special navigators for which these aircrafts are, licenses are used. Syllabus for pilots. So you see Series B is all about syllabus. And then requirements, this, that, then the medical requirements, then approval and etc. Basically, everything is mentioned in these documents. Type rating, aviation English. So there will be a rule for radio telegraphy also. There will be a rule for radio license also, everything. See, there's so much information. Where do we get this information from? So if you open any one particular part, then you see that this document is issued by Government of India from the Officer of Director General of Civil Aviation. So if they are using, they can use, you always say Directorate General. It has been issued from the Technical Center. The word technical in aviation means publications, mainly. The head office, like I think Vignesh was saying, Safdarjung Airport, New Delhi. That is the head office actually. Now, what is the name of the publication? Civil Aviation Requirements. Going hand in hand with annexures, okay? Here they have not mentioned in which annexure it is based upon directly, but if you start going through the data here, somewhere or the other, the annexure would be mentioned. The title, you know, issue date, you know, effective forfeit means the date issued is the day it is effective. File number to track, anybody wants to track. Subject, what is the eligibility criteria? And this is how the data is issued. This is basically language of the law for every industry. And you're dealing with it firsthand because you have to comply with it at every stage of your career. So see, there is another Director General of Civil Aviation. Under that, we have Directorate of Training and Licensing also. Something that we don't talk about, but it is there, you know. So because they have not mentioned any annexure here, probably it's because it is specifically designed with respect to Indian people in mind. But somewhere you will see guidance on the annexure would be mentioned. This CAR is issued under Rule 1930, Rules 133A of Aircraft Rules. So what is Rule 133A? Now, all this is important for regulations. Luckily, all this you do not have to go in depth for your RT exams. But see, radio is mentioned directly here. Radio telephony restricted to aeromobile. RTR-A, aeronautical is also represented as aeromobile. So add that. RTR-A, radio telephony restricted to aeromobile. Write this full form, everyone. This you also include in your answers if they ask you what is RTR-A. Radio telephony restricted to aeromobile. The exam is conducted by WPC under Ministry of Communications. New Delhi is the head office for Ministry of Communications. Further information on this regard can be obtained from the Ministry of Communication or the website WPC, which I was on earlier, for the application and schedule. Categories of flight crew licenses and all are mentioned. Simple. So yeah, RT is always mentioned here or there, little. That's it. Anyway, see your types of licenses. When you start your SPL, if you don't have an RT, you will need to get an FRTOL. Basically, it's like a short basic 10% of your RT examination done in the school only, wherever you'll be flying. That license you can use up to your flying training, but you'll not get a CPL based upon that. For that, you need RT only. Anyway, I think it's more than enough. We are overshooting the time. So make sure that I could have shown you AICs also and AIPs also, but in good time later on. Okay, students, that's it for now. I'll see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. It's an early lecture. Be ready, 8:45. We are going to learn more at a little faster pace. Okay, a little more of regulations will cover a little slow and afterwards we'll get technical. It's not difficult. And then I'll supplement you with certain texts also that you can just study on your own time. Today, I'll be sending you all a list of these docs and annexures. I'll send it via email. Just make sure you all memorize it and keep it ready in your mind until then. Okay. What do we say? That's it. Revise what we have done so far. Keep revising part 1, Delhi students. And whatever doubts you keep discussing, keep sharing with me. Today, Vishnu, I'm talking to you. Anybody else needs to talk to me, let me know. Drop me a message. Probably in the evening, we'll be able to chat or talk. But Vishnu, you and me are doing the call. Anyhow, make sure we do that. Okay, students, I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be learning till this time only from 9 with a half an hour break in between. Be mentally prepared. It could get exhausting. It's your first day, but we'll be covering a lot of points. All right. I'll take your leave, students. Thank you for extending. Thank you for not asking for a break. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Good day, sir.
Thank you.